All right, we may have big problems. My wife
And this is the culprit.
accidentally put in petrol, benzene, gasoline into the diesel tank. Now we weren't empty, but we were probably 3/4 of a tank full, and she put in about 12 liters. And so we're gonna have to drain the tank, and we're not real sure what that's going to entail. We've been unable to locate an access point in the vehicle. The gas tank is here, and there is no access point under the carpet. So it would mean either dropping the tank or disconnecting a fuel line somewhere, and hopefully that will work. But we're going to try to figure this out.
Well, hello guys. Today we are going to be draining the fuel tank on the Volkswagen Caddy here. So last night when we put the wrong fuel in, we had to call her father, and we towed the vehicle back to their house. That was a little bit stressful. We had to go through town. You can't get on the major highways. So we had to tow the vehicle back here with a tow strap, and it was dark, and I couldn't crank the car, so there was no power steering or power brakes, and lots of start and stopping, so that was not the best time in the world. And the tow strap was only about 3 or 4 meters long, so I could barely even see the strap, and well, I was really close to him, and so it was pretty difficult to keep it from, becoming too close. So what we're going to do right now is just do some research and figure out what we have to do to get the fuel out.
So I found this website here, manualslib.com. And so I pulled this up just so I was looking for how the fuel system works. And so I found this diagram in the manual here. And so this is the top of the auxiliary pump. And so you can see the line going in here. So, and the return line here. So I'm going to go find that and see which tubes they go to. So through my research, I found that there is a pressure line here, and it feeds the pump, and then the pump feeds the fuel injectors, and then the fuel injectors return the fuel. Now, I believe just by looking at it that this hose is the pressure line, because it is a braided hose. So those are usually our higher pressure lines. This is not a braided hose, so this is the low pressure line. So I believe this line is coming from the tank, goes through the filter, through this pressure line, which becomes the middle hose here, but it is the top hose of the fuel rail. And then just through my research, I found that this is the intake of the fuel into the fuel pump. So this is like the secondary fuel pump, vacuum actuated fuel pump. And it just helps the fuel pump in the tank. So the fuel goes in here, circulates around, goes to the injectors, and comes out through this tube, and which is the bottom line. Now that bottom line comes out here, goes back into the filter, and then returns here. So what we're going to do is unplug this line and just see if we get pressure. So here's the website I used to find the relay. Looks like a pretty good website so far. So fuseandrelay.com, and we just put in the Volkswagen Caddy, and it does cover mine, which is a 2008. And so we scroll down here to the relays. So here's the relay box. And there is the relays that we're looking for. And number 3, pump relay, fuel pump relay, number 449. And that is in slot 3 here. So that's where you'll find that. All right, so I had to do some research on the internet. I couldn't find it in the owner's manual, but the relays are behind this dash piece here, the headlight cover or headlight switch cover. So you have to pull this cover off. You got 3 screws. You got one at the bottom here. You got two over here on this side. Those are Torx. These over here are T20. This is a T25. So you pull that out. These pull straight out. And this is the fuel pump relay, number 449. And so what we're going to do is pull that out. And you can see here the 2 prongs that have the holes in them. Those are the actual power lines. And the 2 here are what the switch actuates when you cut the switch on. So it'll turn it on and make the relay work. So what we're going to need to do is jump these 2 prongs here and just take the relay out. We're going to jump the prongs. So you can see the 2 silver prongs in there. We're going to jump those 2 together, and that's what's going to make the fuel pump work. So that's what we're using. It's just a little piece of wire. You just plug it in right there, and that will run the fuel pump. We've got, you can see it flowing really good there. And that is, we've got it hooked to this main line here. That is coming directly from the fuel pump. And the reason, I couldn't find any information on which one was which, but the reason I chose this one is because it has the threads showing. So that tells me that it's a high pressure line, and the other lines are smooth. So that's telling me it's probably a low pressure line. So this is high pressure, and this one is high pressure. You can see the little grid pattern on that one. And then the one beside it does not have. So that's a high pressure. This is a high pressure line. That's the low pressure line. You can see that they have a different texture to them. So we've got that going. And now we just have to fill up 3 of these tanks to get rid of all the fuel in the tank. And then we'll have to fill it back up with good diesel, and maybe that's solved our problem.
Focus on that all. Almost there.
So it took about 15 minutes to fill up these 2. We're on the last 20 liters here. And so, 25 minutes I think is probably what it takes to empty out 60 liters using the factory fuel pump. So everything is going well so far. So this is where we are with the tank right now. We've got about a quarter, maybe a little more in that last tank. And so you can see that we're getting pretty low, but you can actually see the gas needle moving. So that's kind of funny. It's almost like driving a hot rod car when you actually see the needle move as you drive. But yeah, so we're getting pretty close. I don't think we're gonna have to have it completely empty, but we're just gonna go as far as we can. And I think when the fuel light comes on, that's when we'll stop so that we're not running it completely dry back there. Okay, so the fuel light is on, So now we're just kind of listening to see if the pump makes any weird noises, like gets louder or anything. But I think we're going to stop here in just a moment. Okay, we are now back full of diesel. We put in 57 liters and the tank holds 60 liters. So that means there's probably about 3 liters still left in the tank. And that was mixed at 20% fuel, so that we should be just fine. And now we have 60 or close to 60 liters, 57 liters of mixed fuel. So we will be slowly but surely using that, but that saga is now complete and we are back on the road.